Because for whatever reason, this thing is not sending on YouTube. Are we actually on YouTube officially now? We've had a couple of issues the last few shows trying to stream to a bunch of different apps. All right, we are officially on YouTube. How about that? But it's a delusional time of year to be an NFL fan. If this happened, if that happened, we'd be playing Sunday. It would be us in the Super Bowl. Okay. Some of the posts that I've seen talking about that, there's a Barstool post featuring a bunch of Denver Broncos who feel that way. It's Cortland Sutton. It's Nick Bonito. I saw a post from John Alexander in the Houston Chronicle. The title, Texans were supposed to be in the Super Bowl. How they could have matched up against the Seahawks. Okay. Aren't all these thoughts a little delusional, thinking like, what if this happened, that happened? I mean, you don't have a time machine. You're not going back to fix any of those things. So now you got to think about what you can do over the next calendar year to find yourself as one of these last two teams playing. And more importantly, to actually win the fucking Super Bowl. But this delusion is rampant. And I think the Texans might be guilty of this. For better or worse, the Houston Texans believe that their offense is going to be fine. We know this because they've officially done nothing to shake things up on offense. Did they need to shake things up on offense? I think a lot of people would agree, yes. New offensive coordinator, new offensive line coach with the Eagles guy, Jeff Stoutland now available. But they've done nothing. Okay, you keep one coordinator that's had one season under his belt with the Texans for next year. Okay, how about you keep the same offensive line coach who had a better offensive line last year, but when your quarterback looks bad against the Steelers, and when your quarterback looks bad against the Patriots, I don't know, here's a thought, maybe, just maybe, you should think about making some sort of change. But they're not doing that. The Texans are instead saying, hey, turn the ball over less, CJ Stroud. Don't do what you did against the Steelers and against the Patriots again, and you'll be fine. It's like telling somebody who goes out, has a few drinks, maybe finds himself lost or ends up blacking out. Hey, just don't do that again. Okay, but if you put this person in that situation again, it could happen again. And it really feels like the Texans are just counting on CJ Stroud not doing that again. Is that realistic? With how he looked in those games, is that realistic? I don't think it is. I think it's a bit delusional to go back into next season and say, all right, well, he's not going to do that again. What if he does? What if, like, James Harden now on his fifth team in, 5 years? What if Stroud's just a bad postseason player? And sure, there's plenty of time for him to potentially change that narrative. He has to do it himself, but what if this is just what it is? You're going to go into next year, same offensive coordinator, same quarterback coach, and say, yep, Stroud's not going to do that again, and we're going to be healthy this time around. And sure, the Texans dealt with their fair share of injury problems over the course of the year, but they weren't the 49ers, which can always happen. So are you really thinking to yourself, all of these things are just going to be better next year by default? And that's the sense I get. You're keeping your quarterback coach. You heard Nick Caserio at the end of season press conference bring up turnovers the amount of times that he did. You heard Nick Caserio at the very end of that end of season press conference say, we're not concerned about the offense. D'Amico Ryans and I behind closed doors aren't concerned about it. Is that enough? It'll just be better next year. Because I think you got to ask that question. And some of these people who have been saying that, well, if this happened, if that happened, the Texans would be playing in the Super Bowl. Those people, I feel like you are overlooking a lot. They get past the second round of the playoffs. CJ Stroud wasn't going to throw a bunch of interceptions against the Broncos in the snow. How would CJ Stroud do against this Seahawks defense that made him look awful in the Super Bowl again? Because it's about winning the Super Bowl. It's not about getting to the AFC fucking championship. I get it. No one in Houston's done it since 79-80 with the Oilers. The goal is to win a Super Bowl. Are you really counting on the fact that, best case scenario, CJ Stroud's not going to do that over a 3-game stretch? That's if you get home field advantage, 1 of 7 in the AFC. Or that he's not going to have that happen again in 4 straight games, wild card round, divisional round, championship weekend, the Super Bowl. Do you really believe that? You're asking a lot. And assuming that you really were that close. And I mean, I just look at how you missed an opportunity here. No Joe Burrow and the Bengals in these playoffs. No Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in these playoffs. No Lamar Jackson and the Ravens in these playoffs. Arguably, the top 3 quarterbacks in the conference were out. Okay, maybe Drake May's an MVP candidate, and the Patriots definitely had a fortunate schedule this season. But what, is your schedule about to get easier next season? And do you think that you are going to be going through a playoffs that is void of all of those big names that I listed? So that's where I feel like the Texans are operating a little bit delusionally here, where, okay, yeah, we're just going to go into next season with what we had last year because it's just going to be better. Okay, I hope so. I'm all for an organization believing that their process works, but this time around, with this defense and with all the opportunities that were gifted to them, relative health compared to the rest of the league. I get it. Neil Collins was out, and I get it. Dalton Schultz was injured early on in that game. Still, relative health. Everyone's banged up at that point in the season. No Mahomes and the Chiefs. No Lamar Jackson. No Joe Burrow. You were one of the more experienced playoff teams this time around. What good did it do you? Next time around, you're going to have all those same opportunities. This defense is going to be as good as it was this past season. There's going to be no injuries. Everything's going to be hunky-dory. You are relying on a lot, and I do think it is a little bit delusional. And to quote the great Grand Moff Tarkin from Star Wars: A New Hope,
this had better work.
It better work. This delusion. You want to jump in, you know how to do it. We are live on YouTube at Paul Gallant. Like and subscribe. On Twitch at Gallant Says. Give me a follow. I'd appreciate a sub. X, Twitter at Gallant Says, at Gallant Says Pod. Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports. Instagram at Sports Gallant. And on TikTok at Gallant Says. Let's see what the people have to say. Make sure that we have everybody included in our little chat section that we got. Because, you know, we like to have as many people as we possibly can in this bad boy. As many people as we possibly can have. So we're loading up all of those folks on all of those apps so that we can have the best possible show experience we can. But it involves me opening a bunch of weird-ass windows because this is not exactly the best platform when it comes to multiple comments. It's just not. So I'm filibustering right now. I am pulling a Nick Caserio. I am, in my own way, doing my part to give you a voice. Paul, you're not saying anything right now. That's true. That's very, very true. But listen, you know, we gotta do what we gotta do. We gotta do what we gotta do. All right, I think that we should have everybody's chats now popping up in the chat bar. We just got one more to load up. Shout out to everybody who has been bearing with me as I get this thing straightened out. Chewy, keep it in your pants, buddy. Keep it in your pants. That's my sister, Vanessa Richardson, you're talking about. A Fisher 4182 says Texans delusional, Rockets delusional, Astros delusional, Six Flags comeback delusional, Blockbuster comeback delusional. That's true. None of those things are coming back anytime soon, I would think. More comments here. James May Sports on Tap TV says thanks for the Creed motif. Ian Lindblom says, I remember Andre Johnson said something similar that you would get back very quickly. Shout out to Greg Todd, finally moving to Houston, my guy. And let's get into some other things, huh? Let's have some more takes on this little show of ours. Did anyone see the news, guys? The new CJ Stroud is here. CJ Stroud is turning over a new leaf. The Texans quarterback declined an invite to the Pro Bowl games. He's locked in. And on top of that, CJ Stroud cut his hair. It means that he's focused, laser focused on 2027. Wait, 6.
It's football time in Houston, and we're ready to play.
Hell yeah, brother. Let's go. He's locked in because he got his braids cut, everybody. See this? Hear about this? And some of the Texans fans online are really excited about this haircut. First off, shout out to the person who actually made the haircut happen. This video courtesy of Big Sarge Sports. Gotta see this once it loads. Once it loads on the old X machine, which is taking a lot of time to load. Perhaps we're having some internet issues at this moment in time. Slowly waiting for a tab to load. Singing about the tab loading. Let's just play a little more Clay Walker.
It's football time in Houston, and we're ready to play.
Hell, it might be time to just play a little bit of the old whole song.
Well, it's finally here. I've been waiting all week just to kick this thing off. I've been rocking away on the edge of my seat. Now I'm ready to roll.
Show's just really going smoothly, Paul, isn't it?
Here they come to mix things up. Bet your boots better toughen up. Let's get ready to root for our team.
Here's one of those Bobo posts from one of those Polymarket guys. CJ Stroud, back to high school form. We locked in.
And we're ready to play.
Let's go!
Got no time to lose now.
It's red, white, and blue today. Welcome to the greatest city of all. CJ's got a haircut. Are you ready for some football? Okay, we're done. But CJ Stroud got his haircut, everybody. And watch out, NFL. I mean, take a look right here. Is this the future Super Bowl champion? Braidless? HTX Rhino says he looks a little more aerodynamic. That is true. He does look a little bit more aerodynamic. And that's good. That is certainly good. Look at him. Oh, yeah. Gotta say, and that's the hair studio, I guess. It's no Annie, my hairstylist. Paul, you have a hairstylist? You have a mullet right now. That's true, I do. What a handle. Sir, this is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo, and Daddy owns it. Don't have a lot of money, but I have enough for now to own a little piece of real estate, little pie in the sky. So there you go, everybody. CJ Stroud is locked in. Paul, you're delusional thinking CJ Stroud's locked in. No, you're delusional. You're delusional. What else do we have to talk about? CJ declined that invite to the Pro Bowl games and he cut his hair. He's locked in. The Super Bowl is here. Huzzah! Have you seen all the in-depth pieces about how the Seahawks and Patriots got to the big game? You got a feature about Seahawks GM John Schneider. By the way, John Schneider's a hell of a GM. I mean, he had that 2012 draft class with the Seahawks where he gets Russell Wilson and he gets Bobby Wagner and he gets Bruce Irvin. And, I mean, he has found some amazing players over his time there. And one of the things I really like about John Schneider is he's always been forward-thinking, especially at quarterback. This is actually one of the reasons that Russell Wilson forced his way out of town eventually. Russ did not like that the Seahawks were looking at, before a draft, both Patrick Mahomes at the Combine and in another, I think actually their pro day, for both Mahomes and Josh Allen. John Schneider went to both. Russell Wilson did not like this. But it seems like John Schneider had a pretty good eye for quarterbacks. He brought in Geno Smith, got the most out of Geno Smith anybody has. Now Geno looks terrible with the Raiders and with Pete Carroll, his old coach that used to be hand in hand with John Schneider. Then he brings in Sam Darnold, and Darnold just got the general manager of the Minnesota Vikings fired. I have a lot of respect for John Schneider. We interacted once in Seattle. We peed next to each other. That's it. That's the one interaction. Sup? Hey. That's it. But I'm a fan. They had a bold offseason. They got rid of Tyler Lockett, who's one of my favorites. They got rid of DK Metcalf. And they actually might have upgraded at wide receiver. They get a lesser version of Cooper Kupp, but Jackson Smith has been one of the best receivers in the league, if not the best receiver in the league. I think it's between him and Puka Nacua for this past season. Obviously, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson still in the conversation. But the Seahawks have done a hell of a job in the draft, and that's one of the reasons that they are going to be playing in the Super Bowl. You got to draft well to be a good team. Like, you're seeing all the op-eds about that. You got to have a good general manager. You got to take risks. Like, you're seeing it. These are all brilliant takes by people with jobs, unlike me. You've also got people saying the same thing about the Patriots. You got to spend money. You got to spend, bro. Patriots spent a lot this offseason. 6 contracts with at least $10 million guaranteed. $63 million for Milton Williams. They took a flyer on Stephon Diggs, 3 years and $63.5 million. They took flyers on Carlton Davis, Harold Landry, Robert Spillane. And, of course, they stumbled into the 3rd pick overall and drafted Drake May, and here they are. You got to nail the draft. You got to get the good quarterback. You gotta do those things. Like, ugh. So soon the game will take place. I'm looking forward to it, obviously. In case you didn't know it, I'm a Patriots fan. I'm thrilled for yet another Super Bowl featuring the team that's the reason that I cover sports for a living. I think the Patriots are going to win this game. Well, Paul, you're biased. Of course you think that. Fine, but I like the interior of their defense, specifically Milton Williams. Lesser degree, I like Christian Barmore. He's a bit of a doofus off the field. Do some Googling for yourself. I think they're going to give the interior of the Seahawks offensive line issues. And if the Seahawks offensive line has issues, I'd imagine that Sam Darnold could very easily revert to the old Sam Darnold that we're so used to, at least for one game. And that's all it's going to take. I don't know that Darnold is the same guy who has a bad game and then turtles, but I do think that the old version of Sam Darnold is there. I don't think it's gone. I really don't. So, with that in mind, if you can get some pressure up the middle with that very, very, very good defensive tackle tandem that you have, will Darnold throw the same kind of pick six that C.J. Stroud threw to Marcus Jones, the Cougs legend? There's real questions about Drake May. There's real questions about the Patriots' offensive line. The left side of that offensive line does not inspire a whole lot of confidence right now. You got a banged up Will Campbell playing in there, and we all saw what the Seahawks pass rush did to the Texans. But I'm looking at what the Seahawks defense is, and I see a quarterback in Drake May who's gone up against three great defenses in a row. The Chargers, the Texans, who I think have the best defense in the league, the Broncos, and was he good in any of those games? Not really, but he made plays. He's been battle-tested this postseason. Bringing it back to Darnold, when's the last time Darnold went up against a defense that was a challenge? That 49ers game was over by the time he first stepped on the field. It was done. And by the way, that defense stinks. On top of that, the Rams defensively have not been the same Rams for a while. So, I don't think Darnold's really been tested. I think May has been. And I think if that pressure happens and gets in Darnold's face, it's only going to take 2 or 3 takeaways to win the Super Bowl. I have concerns about the Patriots' ability to run the football. But I know the Seahawks are not going to be able to run the football, and that's when their offense typically does its best. I'm picking the Pats. I think the spread's what? Seahawks by 4.5. I think they're being put on a pedestal this week. At the very least, the Patriots should cover. I don't think that the Seahawks are this historic team when a couple of weeks ago we weren't 100% sure that they could beat the San Francisco 49ers, you know? So I think all these people that are like picking the Seahawks and think there's a huge talent discrepancy. The Seahawks are more talented, but I don't think it's that big of a discrepancy, you know? All right. Patriots derangement syndrome's back. It's been fun. It's been giving me a pants tent this week. You see all these posts by ex-coworkers. Brock Heward. I'm a fan of Brock Heward. Brock Heward believes that someone in the Patriots, maybe Bob Kraft, classic Patriots, revealed that Jody Allen, who hasn't sold the team, Jody Allen is the wife of the late Paul Allen, who owned the Seahawks for a while. He passed away some time ago, I think 5, 6, 7 years ago or so. She's in control of the team, but she has been basically under orders that at some point she has to sell the team. She hasn't sold the team yet. So all of a sudden this information comes out Super Bowl week, and people in Seattle are, because of the Patriots derangement syndrome, should have run the ball to 1. You wouldn't have it if you ran the ball to 1 yard line with Marshawn Lynch. And they're thinking to themselves that Robert Kraft put this out there to cause a distraction for the Seahawks. How would this be a distraction? Oh, the team might get sold. What, they're going to move to fucking Saudi Arabia? What are you talking about? It's a loyal fan base. That is not a team that's in danger of leaving, you know? Now, who buys the team? That'll be interesting. Is it Jeffrey Bezos? CEO, entrepreneur, born in 1964. Jeffrey Bezos. I mean, it could. It could be that. I don't know. I don't know who's going to buy the team, but the idea that the Seahawks are going to be distracted because the team's up for sale this week is crazy. They're going to be more distracted by the fact that Clint Kubiak, their offensive coordinator, is going to get a new gig. But by the way, it's the Super Bowl. It's the last game. These guys are all going to be focused, perhaps too tight, both on the Seahawks and on the Patriots. Patriots maybe less so because Mike Vrabel has been to a few of these and Josh McDaniels has been to a few of these. and Milton Williams was just in one, their defensive tackle. I think there's more Super Bowl experience for the Patriots than the Seahawks, which is something to keep in mind. But it's funny to see Patriots derangement syndrome back. Oh, these cheaters. They're always trying to do something to make the playing field unfair. What are you talking about? How is the team potentially being sold a distraction to any of the players? It's clear Patriots derangement syndrome. If you actually had something, like Deflategate's more than that. Deflategate was the biggest bullshit story in NFL history. Spygate also has a big asterisk next to it, in my opinion. If you've listened to the show long enough, you know why. A lot of people have been asking me, Paul, how do you feel about your Lord and Savior and some comments that he made while on the Let's Go podcast with incredibly awkward Jim Gray? This is from the Let's Go podcast earlier this week.
Very exciting thing. So, listen, I don't have a dog in the fight in this one. May the best team win. And in terms of the Patriots, this is a new chapter in New England. And I'm glad everyone's embraced the Mike Vrabel regime, all the amazing players that have worked so hard to get their club to this position. We did it for 20 years. There was a little bit of a hiatus in there, but the Patriots are back. And it's a very exciting time for everyone in New England.
I don't have a dog in the fight. That's the quote that everyone's talking about. Some ex-Patriots are pissed off about it. I saw Robert Spillane talking about it as well. He's disgusted. If you're going after my Lord and Savior for comments that he has that are protected by the First Amendment, you're a fucking loser. You're just as much of a loser as Bill Polian. You should have complete faith in our Lord and Savior, Tom Brady. What, you putting your faith in the Archdiocese of Boston? Are you fucking crazy? All your faith should be in Tom Brady. The Lord gives us his toughest battles. And you fucking nincompoops can't understand that Tom Brady, in not saying he's got a dog in the fight, actually has a dog in the fight here because he's trying to motivate the Patriots. He wants the Patriots to know that his love takes some serious earning. So I'm sick and tired of all these radio yokels like Felga and all these other guys who are saying Tom Brady doesn't care about New England. You're so fucking wrong. Tom Brady cares so much that he's saying he doesn't have a dog in the fight to motivate the guys. He's motivating Mike Vrabel. He's motivating Josh McDaniels. He's motivating Drake May, Robert Spillane, every fucking player on that team. And again, if you can't see that, you're a loser. Oh. DeRhino says, he's a Raiders owner. He's a Patriot, sir. Dominic Senny 3647 says, New England air smells like fat men inner booty cheeks. No, that's Deer Park. No offense. No offense. Hang on a second, guys. Got to huck a loogie. Ugh, that's gross. Let's keep on rolling through. I don't give a shit about the halftime show. I don't think it matters who's playing at halftime because I don't really pay attention to it. I'm not going to go watch the Kid Rock alternative version either. I'm sure the people that I'm watching the Super Bowl with will have their own thoughts on it. I'll say this about Bad Bunny. I could not name a song by him, but I would recognize a song by him if it were played, and I wouldn't mind it. I think his music's actually pretty good. In college, I had a lot of friends who were Puerto Rican. I'm very used to listening to Puerto Rican music, to whatever the fuck that music style is, and I've come to enjoy it. So I'm sure Bad Bunny's going to be great at the halftime show. Will he say something political? Maybe. Will Green Day say something political? I think Green Day's more likely with whatever they're doing to be more political. But I think it'll be fun. But I don't really care that much about the halftime show. And I think the people that are using that for content are unentertaining non-talents that I should have the job of. Most importantly. Keep rolling, 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 rolling. What? The Houston Rockets did nothing at the NBA trade deadline today. This cements that they are not a true title contender this year. I get it. You're thinking to yourself, well, they've got Kevin Durant. That's not going to be enough. If you've watched enough of this team this year, you've noticed that the offense often seems directionless. And worse, all of a sudden, you are hearing Ime Udoka call out the thing that was supposed to be his bread and butter, the team's toughness.
When you look at this team right now, how does it compare to where you were maybe a year ago this time?
The edge is missing. You know, we don't have that on a nightly basis, so we're toughing out wins where we used to be able to kind of lock down and you know, take over games like that. You're just, like I said, going through the motion at times, and, you know, we put a good quarter, a good stretch defensively, offensively together, but I would say the overall, you know, energy and toughness of the group to start games is not there.
How? How is it not there? I like Ime Udoka. I like his brand of basketball. How is it not there? You're the coach of this team. You've been here for a while. These players have been playing for you for a while. How is it not there? What's up with that? I heard him say that last night, and I'm glad that Lashard Binkley asked a follow-up question to him at yesterday's press conference. More from Ime Udoka.
Just have a follow-up question to that, to what I asked you before. Why do you think that's the case? I mean, you know, why is the fight not there like it should be a year later?
I mean, you know, some personnel went out the door that bring that on a nightly basis. You know, Dylan does that. Fred does that. You know, Steven's out. He's, you know, one of our tougher, you know, energy guys. But we got enough without that. And, you know, you got our man Tari, you know, guys that have been around and kind of had that ingrained in the last few years. So just
guys that have been around. I mean, is he pointing to Dylan Brooks not being here anymore as a part of this? And obviously you mentioned Tariz and some of the guys who are still here. And I know the Rockets are dealing with a lot of injuries this season, but I mean, you traded Dylan Brooks to improve, and all of a sudden you've lost some of that edge that you used to have. Brooks, for his part, is playing really well in Phoenix. Credit to him. More from Ime.
This example of tonight, them getting 20 offensive rebounds and however many loose balls, 50-50 balls. It's like we're sitting watching I've never seen that many balls hit our hands and lose them, and us not getting on the floor and them diving for balls. And so that's just an example of it. You know, those things that we did on a constant in the past, we got to get back to that.
That's on Udoka. Why isn't it happening? I don't know. So it doesn't make you feel great about Ime Udoka. You take a look at the development that you were hoping for from Reed Shepherd. That's not happening either. You went into this season knowing that without Fred VanVleet, unless the Rockets were able to make some sort of move for a point guard, which they do not have, that it was going to be about Reed Shepherd developing into someone who is regularly playable. In the eyes of Udoka, he isn't. I think it's largely due to his defense. But now, all of a sudden, take a look at his shooting of late. He's not shooting well either. So what are you getting out of Reed Shepherd? Is he a liability? He's had a couple of fun fourth quarters this season for sure, but you're not seeing a lot of growth from a Rockets team that now has Kevin Durant. And you saw last night's game. I mean, good God. The Celtics were incredibly injured in that game. No Jaylen Brown. They've, of course, not had Jason Tatum all season long. And I mean, that was a bloodbath. That game was over early in the third quarter. And ultimately, Ime Udoka gets ejected, and not too long afterwards, Alperen Şengün gets ejected. And what a week he's had. You know, on Monday, He's got 39 and 16 after not being selected for the All-Star game. Then he gets ejected, and some people think that he called the lady referee on the court an effing bitch. Did he? I don't know. I couldn't honestly tell watching the video, listening back. But they got smoked in that game by a Celtics team that looks a lot more like a legitimate title contender. And they've got no excuse. I mean, they've got the bigger excuse than the Rockets have. I get it. The Rockets are without Fred VanVleet and they're without Steven Adams. But the Celtics don't have Jason Tatum, who's their best player. Tore his Achilles in the playoffs last year. They smoked you without either of their best players. What the fuck? I imagine that pissed Udoka off. That's his old team. So what's going on there? I just think it's further confirmation that this isn't their year. And making matters worse, did anyone like hearing this? If you've listened to me long enough, you know that I'm not the biggest fan of Rockets general manager Rafael Stone. But these comments were very interesting, which he made today after the NBA trade deadline had come and gone. Here is Rafael Stone, this video courtesy of Jackson Gatlin, Locked On Podcast. Check out all his work. This is Rafael Stone today after the Rockets did nothing at the NBA trade deadline.
The number of injuries we've taken, one thing we did look at was kind of like, is this just not our year? Because we do feel as though, like in kind of leading into today, we've had some of the worst injury luck in the NBA.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. By the way, is this just not our year? Dog, Kevin Durant's 37. You're going to say that? How do you think Durant's going to feel about that when you say that? I mean, I hated hearing that from Stone today, and Stone wasn't done. Here's more of the Rockets general manager explaining why the Rockets didn't make any moves at the trade deadline.
But credit to Ime and to the guys in there. Our record doesn't reflect that. Our offense and defensive ranking don't really reflect that, and so we think, we like this group. And credit to Tillman, he didn't have an appetite for taking a step back. He
had too much Italian food. Ba-doom. Wait, hang on. There we go. Oh, that was a hilarious joke.
Definitely wanted to spend the money and give this group a chance to be as good as it can be, and just keep building and moving forward.
Rafael, what do you like about where your team's at and how you guys have kind of come together with the new pieces this season as the All-Star break approaches?
Yeah, I mean, it's been disjointed. The first half has been, and I think, like kind of starting from before preseason when Fred went down, I think we've had to figure things out on the fly a little bit. But I think they've done a good job, and I think there's a lot more to come. So generally, I think we're in a very, very competitive place in a very, very competitive conference, and I don't feel as though this group has played its best basketball. And we've had a lot of change, way more than we anticipated this past summer, and I think that provides an opportunity for this group to coalesce over the second half of the season. I do firmly believe in continuity, and I think there's real advantages to teams that have continuity, and this group does not have that. And so, so I think time should be our friend in that respect.
How can it be your friend? How could it possibly be your friend the rest of the way? Is Reed Shepherd suddenly going to become a better player? No, likely not. Is a point guard going to appear out of thin air? I understand the idea that there's really not that much that the Rockets could have done due to, the cap situation that they are in with Fred VanVleet injured and now Steven Adams injured too. But at the same time, this just didn't inspire a lot of confidence, this moment, about a minute and a half from Rafael Stone. I want to feel confident. I want to believe that this thing is going in the right direction. I'm starting to have doubts about Ime Udoka as far as this becoming a championship caliber team. They're definitely not that. I don't know if they get out of the first round. And then you're hearing that from Rafael Stone. Man, at the very least, I would have liked Rafael Stone to have thought about what he was going to say before going up to the podium. I don't think he put a lot of thought into that. So there you go. NBA trade deadline came and went. Alperen Şengün is still a Rocket. I know some people have thought, try to get Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's probably what you'd have to give up to go and get Giannis. But they did not do that. I thought there was a very funny post made. I think this was at NBA Central. NBA Central put this out. It was a summation of why the Milwaukee Bucks are going to keep Giannis. This is from Mark Stein. The Milwaukee Bucks believe that if they get lucky in the lottery, Giannis could stay. Quote, league sources say that the Bucks, who deep down would still prefer not to trade their face of the franchise, believe that a bolt of lottery luck in May could still keep alive Milwaukee's dream of convincing Antetokounmpo to extend the relationship one more time. I reposted this and said, I believe that if I get lucky in the lottery, I won't have to get a real job, per the Gallant Says podcast. Subscribe, rate, and review. Bold strategy by the Bucks. By the way, I'm told that the Rockets are not playing particularly well right now against the Charlotte Hornets, of all teams, who are terrible. You know who wasn't playing terrible and yet still this guy wanted out? The Los Angeles Clippers. How about James Harden? He did it again. He forced another trade. He's going to play for his fifth team since 2021. The Rockets, Nets, Sixers, Clippers, and Cavs. Quit on the Rockets. Quit on the Nets. Quit on the Sixers, but might have been justified in doing so. Remember when he's ranting to all those Chinese kids at that basketball camp? Did any of them understand what he was saying? But he did ultimately quit on the Sixers. And he joins the Clippers, and now he is in Cleveland. I saw this post headline in The Athletic, an article by Tony Jones. James Harden trade talks shocking, but the Clippers aim to stay of sound mind. Huh? It's James Harden. How is it shocking? What are you fucking talking about? It's James Harden. James Harden's about James Harden. Some people love that. Others don't like it. Personally, I just hate the way he plays. I give him a lot of credit. I actually do have begrudging respect for him. He is still putting up numbers at age 36 with a rather demanding play style that involves a lot of contact. He does obviously embellish contact, but he is still playing at a really high level. I didn't think that would happen. But it is a bit surprising that after the Clippers won 17 of 21 that he's forcing his way out. Does that mean that the Clippers are going to go far in the postseason? No, but I'd rather be on a team with Kawhi Leonard than on a team with Donovan Mitchell. The request from Harden came as a surprise to the Clippers, given how they have turned their season around. Again, I can't believe that they were surprised. Some people want Harden back here. As I've said a bazillion times, I just hate watching him play. I hate the flopping. I hate the lack of attention paid to the defensive side of things. Oh, he's a great post defender. Shut the fuck up. I think his playoff performances are proof that while his style works in the regular season, it's an asterisk against him and all of the numbers that he puts up. Because when in a league where the regular season matters less and less, when it is actually a game that matters, that just does not work. But hey, you know, a couple of years ago with the Sixers against the Celtics, he was the one that was the reason that the Sixers had a chance to actually win that series. His teammates have always liked him, so that means that there are enough people who liked him. He's not coming to Durant defending him with Roosh Williams the other day. Kawhi Leonard was defending him with these rumors about him potentially asking for a trade. So he's not my problem anymore. Is the hatchet buried? Not really, outside of if I were to make a guest appearance in Cleveland and just say, you guys are fucked, bringing him in. Like, this isn't going to be the finishing piece for you. But I just hate the people who love Harden. And specifically, like, the Houston-based people who love Harden. I don't get it. You were a diehard Rockets fan. Okay, he quit on you. Lots of ugly, embarrassing postseason moments. The regular season makes up for all of that. It's not aesthetically pleasing to watch him play. Why do you worship him? And I saw a lot of people carrying water for the latest Harden, I'm forcing my way out of town episode. Lots of people were carrying water for him. And not just Ramona Shelburne from ESPN. Like, we're talking just random people said, yeah, he was justified in doing it. Okay, at a certain point, aren't you an asshole if you keep on doing this? If you keep on asking out over and over again, like, you signed a contract. Shouldn't you have a little bit of integrity and honor and respect the contract? Well, Paul, would you operate like that if you're in the same situation? Who's to say? But as someone who's never going to make anywhere close to the amount of money that James Harden makes in 1 year, I still find it annoying that everyone enables his behavior and pats him on the back for it. It's gross. So those are my James Harden thoughts. People in the chats are not having fun watching the Rockets game against the Hornets right now. This doesn't sound good. Reed Shepard is losing value by the minute, says Dominic ENE 3647. That's no bueno. No bueno. Let's keep on rolling along. The Houston Astros, we're getting closer and closer to the start of spring training, and pour one out, a move that's not surprising but will be felt. The Framber Valdez era of Astros baseball is over. Framber signed a 3-year deal with the Detroit Tigers. It's about $38 million a year or so. Framber was maddening. No one drives you as crazy as a head case like that. How many emotional meltdowns has this guy had? How many times has he plunked someone after something bad happened in a game? How many times has he thrown a ball in the wrong spot to his catcher because he was pissed with a call that the guy had made not that long before? How many times in a postseason game did you see him go out on the hill and it was nothing close to what you expected out of him based off of his regular season? There was a lot of his postseason career. He did have that really great performance throughout the 2022 postseason, but, 2021, the year before that, didn't look so good. And, against the Rangers, some bad moments too. But you're going to miss him no matter how crazy he drove you. That guy's got a rubber fucking arm. Through all the crazy, when you got an arm that holds up to the degree that Framber's arm held up on a rotation that regularly sees guys lost with Tommy John injuries. This is the guy who never had one. This is the guy that would give you how many starts a season? 30 or so? He's giving you 20 to 30 solid games. Let's just go through his career. reliever in 2019 on one of the greatest Astros teams ever. He didn't do so hot. This next season, 2020, the pandemic. But from 2021 on, he gave you 22 starts in 21, 31 starts in 22, 31 starts in 23, 28 starts in 24, 31 starts last year. You can argue that the Astros have a better, in totality, rotation this season with some of the moves that they made this offseason. But you're going to miss this guy, even if you don't miss the antics. Will A.J. Hinch be able to handle those antics in Detroit? Time will tell. But while I understand why the Astros didn't bring him back, and I think everyone knew he was gone as soon as he hit free agency, and honestly, everyone might have known he was gone as soon as he had that incident with Cesar Salazar last year, you're going to miss him at some point. You will miss him. In a year where there's a lot of uncertainty about what the Astros rotation is after Hunter Brown, you are going to miss him at some point. Maybe it's only temporary, and then you start thinking to yourself, oh, but he was so crazy. But nostalgia does wonders for making you forget all the bullshit, right? You're going to miss him at some point this year. We'll see what happens with him in Detroit. Are the Houston Cougars poor? Are our beloved Cougs broke, flat broke? We ain't got it. Anyone see this from Kelvin Sampson the other day? Here is the head coach of the Houston Cougars talking about the Cougs' money issues. This was yesterday, so on Wednesday, the great Kelvin Sampson at the podium with video courtesy of Chris Baldwin.
But, you know, we have a very poor athletic department. We're poor. You know, we're poor when I got here, and we're still poor. We probably have the lowest budget of anybody in Power 4, you know, and, you know, the way our recruiting is going, we have to stop at some point because we don't have enough money to keep bringing in really good players. And that's not easy for us to do. You know, people ask about recruiting. You know, teams that have the best recruiting classes usually have the most money.
Here's the problem for the Cougs. I don't know who's giving them the money. Like, Tillman Fertitta's the money guy. Now he's the Rockets owner. Mario Rodriguez points out maybe a poor choice of words by Kelvin Sampson. But I understand the frustration. I understand lamenting the fact that you're trapped in a spot where you can't truly compete with some of these other schools that have these mega donors. But between the Texans going into next year with the offense exactly the same, I guess thinking that things are going to be different for C.J. Stroud this time around, the guy who was a turnover machine in 2 playoff games. It's not going to happen this coming season because everything's going to be fine. It's all going to work out, and the playoffs are going to be just as big of an opportunity for them to go all the way through. And just like the Rockets are like, yeah, well, it's maybe not our year. And just like the Astros have some real questions this season, even the Cougs, our beloved Cougs, have questions. The team that almost won the national title last year. This is Kelvin Sampson basically saying, hey, is there anyone willing to give us that money? Anyone? Because it's hard. Greg Todd says we don't care about the top guys. We want the right guys. Sure, but even the right guys are starting to cost a lot. It's a lot of work to get the right guys over and over again. Let's keep rolling along. The Gallant Says podcast. Now I'm just going through some things that I had bookmarked. See this? Hear about this? This is not a place you can park your car. In case you didn't see this. You can't park here. You can't park here. That car's on fire, by the way. This is not artificial intelligence. This took place in Houston earlier today. That's pretty wild, no? Where did it take place? In a press conference, Lieutenant Larry Krausen said 2 officers noticed a pickup truck that was reported stolen. They attempted to stop the truck, and in the process, the driver accelerated and ran 2 red lights on Travis Street. Did ABC 13 at least get this with the helicopter? What happened to helicopters at getting every single chase that took place in Houston proper? Couldn't we finally get an awesome end to a chase? Like that car, and in case you missed this, let's go back here. This car is like legitimately standing on, it's doing a handstand practically. Look at this shit. This is wild. In case you're watching along on TikTok, you can see it too. What the fuck happened here? This is crazy. Coffee Whiskey says this sums up some of these Houston drivers. Yeah, you don't say. Jesus. This is wild. Thankfully, not me. Paul, you drive crazy. I'm going to try to drive a little less crazy after seeing that. That seems, though, very hard to do. While we're talking Houston, and listen, I'm a sports talk show host. Politics scare me. But I see a lot of people complaining these days about Houston mayor, and maybe he's a dino, Democrat in name only, John Whitmire, and how he's not enough of a Democrat. But when you see how the Democrats operate here in town, is that actually a bad thing? I say that because, you know, we've seen some attempts at redistricting in Texas, and it is going to take place here in Houston. Christian Menefee, who's 37 years old, just won the 18th congressional district. I don't know much about Christian Menefee. I don't know much about him. What I do know is he's young, and that largely the last few people that we have had representing that district have been old. Sheila Jackson Lee passed away, 74. Not very popular with all constituents. Sylvester Turner, a little more popular, former mayor of town. He was 70 when he passed away. So now Christian Menefee gets this office, and you think to yourself, okay, well, we finally got some fresh blood for the Democrats here in town. That doesn't always work out so well. See Lena Hidalgo. But even though Menefee just won this 18th congressional district, he's now going to have to compete against another old fuck, Al Green, who is 77, because the 18th now includes much of Al Green's 9th district. If you don't know who Al Green is the guy who yelled during the State of the Union last year and got censured. He was like holding up a cool-looking cane while he did it. This guy's 77 years old, and to me, he seems like the kind of politician that's more about stunts than actual action. For what it's worth, apparently he got $90 million in federal funding for flood relief. And that reasoning is enough for Lena Hidalgo to endorse him. Even though Lena Hidalgo on election day said this of Christian Menefee, I am proud to support my friend Christian Menefee, end quote. Look, politics aside, and I'm definitely not a Democrat. I think most people can tell that by now, but I don't judge people who vote differently than me. Wouldn't this piss you off if you're a Democrat? If you're a liberal? Another fucking old person in Congress? Can we get some fresh blood here? Or is it always just going to be the same people? Like the ex-mayor is the new congressional representative. The ex-mayor is running for Harris County judge while Lena Hidalgo steps by. Lena Hidalgo somehow still has a say. And okay, maybe you don't want to have the fresh blood because you're going to end up with a millennial like Lena Hidalgo who's taken all that time off for mental health, et cetera, et cetera. But do you really want another old person representing you? Is that the best we can do? There's no one else? So, listen, I don't know much about Christian Menefee. All I know is that, like, another 77-year-old to Congress to replace the deceased 70-year-old who replaced the deceased 74-year-old. I don't know. Can we have somebody who's not going to die in the near future? Seems like that's a good idea. Just a thought. Anyway. Brain rot, brain rot, brain rot, brain rot, brain rot. Let's get to some brain rot. Did anyone see this story in the San Francisco Chronicle? See this? Hear about this? So, my favorite radio show growing up is a show called Felger and Maserati. This show is a Boston sports radio show. I've been listening to it on and off to get my Patriot fix for most of the last 20 years. There's a headline in the San Francisco Chronicle that reads, radio hosts Michael Felger and Tony Maserati failed the empathy test this week when they took to the airwaves to call San Francisco a zombie apocalypse. Subcaption, are all Patriots fans this soft? Boston radio hosts mock San Francisco an idiotic Super Bowl tirade. Is it idiotic? Like, isn't this the general consensus that a lot of people have about San Francisco? I went to San Francisco in 2019. For the most part, I had a good time. When I went to the areas that were up on a hill, when I went to Coit Tower, it was beautiful. Other parts, a lot of dirt, a lot of trash. And of course, there's lots of homeless people around. And San Francisco hasn't done much about it. It's a West Coast problem. Los Angeles, Seattle, where I used to live, Portland, lots of homeless folks, and nothing's really being done about them, which you could argue is rather inhumane. But San Francisco is pissed off that these two sports radio hosts said that it was like walking through a zombie apocalypse walking by crack addicts, fentanyl addicts, etc., etc., etc. Hey guys, a thought. Isn't this accurate? San Francisco is really soft when it comes to people who are not from San Francisco weighing in on San Francisco. And you would think that maybe that outside perspective would make them look in the mirror and say, oh, yeah, we've lost the plot. Nope. Not happening. And I say this as somebody who also has been the subject of an article where people from San Francisco were mad about something I said about their city. Anyone see this? Hear about this? Look at this article. Warriors fans witness unhinged 3 a.m. tirade from Houston radio host. Who could that be? Who could that be? I don't know. Maybe you should read the article for yourself. Check it out. It's some fun reading. Look it up. Trust me, you'll enjoy it. Then you could actually go find the segment on the Gallant Says podcast that they're talking about there. Let's keep on rolling through, everybody. Brain rot, brain rot, brain rot, brain rot. As the Rockets seem on the verge of losing again with Jeff Green in the game, per the comments section. How many people know about Panthers wide receiver, what is it, Tedaroya McMillan? So this is what the kids do these days. Like if you're cool, you go on a video game stream and you sit there and you shoot the shit, blah, blah, blah. Here is Tedaroya McMillan playing a game of Madden with a couple of goofy-looking streamers.
Come on, you got it. Pick to the Baja. Pick to the Baja. Yeah, talking shit, we won. Huh? We won.
Okay, we did.
So he got an interception and he just drops a bunch of N-bombs there. Okay. And apparently he just throws this word out very liberally.
play with my goddamn career. I only got mad because it's my ankle, my bad ankle right here.
Nah, hey, I'm not even going for you. I put down God in heaven.
Nah, you good, bro.
I put down God in heaven. Hey, I'm just trying to compete.
I know, bro.
I know I hit you in the back on accident.
Nah, you good, you good, Phil. Hey, all love, bro. Let's just play, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm God.
Love you, bro.
This is one of those guys who thinks it sounds cool to sound like that. This is one of those guys. And they exist. I'm trying not to judge here. Trying my hardest. But Teteroy McMillan, everybody. He actually apologized for this. Yesterday, while on live stream, I used a term I should not have. There's no excuse for what I said. I sincerely apologize for speaking thoughtlessly and will do better. Here's a white guy who would be in a lot more trouble here. I believe that Teteroy McMillan is Polynesian. Not that it matters. I don't see color. I don't see race. But great receiver. May have saved Bryce Young's career. Thinks it's cool to sound like a dipshit. A lot of people like that. Lots of people like that in this little thing that we like to call planet Earth. Let's keep on rolling through. Brain rot, brain rot, brain rot. Anyone see this mascot get bundled by Wizards player Jackson Hayes? God damn! This guy got absolutely jacked up. Here he is, everybody. The mascot of the Wizards, which I don't know what this is. It's like a bird or something. It doesn't look like a wizard. You think it'd be a very easy mascot, right? Like a wizard. This is some bird with the basketball uniform on and a wizard's hat. Now watch this. Hang on, we gotta mute it. Right here. Boom! Bundled. And then it cuts away. Good job by the cameraman there. Perhaps helping Jackson Hayes escape a little liability. Boom! Taken out. Mascots, guys. Got to keep your head on a swivel, kids. Got to keep your head on a swivel. If you don't, yikes. Won't go so well for you. Sean Martinez on the Teteroy McMillan comments. Definitely if it were a white fella, it would have been worse. I think you're right. I think you're right on that front. Let's keep on rolling through. Brain rot, brain rot, brain rot, brain rot. Acceptance speeches now get apologies. I did not watch the Grammys. I did not. I don't really like the award shows anymore. Got to say this, though. Specifically about this award show. I don't know what the fuck Shabuzi said, but considering all of the hullabaloo over things that were said during acceptance speeches, yada, 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 this one's surprising. Here is Shabuzi, who you might know from that one song, which is a ripoff of In the Club, I think. First and foremost, I want to express my deep gratitude to everyone who has supported and celebrated my journey as an artist. I also want to acknowledge the conversation surrounding my acceptance speech. To be clear, I know and believe that we, black people, have also built this country. My words were never intended to dismiss that truth. I am both a black man and the son of Nigerian immigrants. And in the overwhelming moment of winning my first Grammy, my focus was on honoring the sacrifices my parents made by coming to this country to give me and my siblings opportunity that they never had. At the same time, winning this award on the first day of Black History Month and becoming the first black man to win Best Country Duo is Black history. It stands on the foundation laid by generations of black people who fought, sacrificed, and succeeded long before me. This moment belongs to all of us. My career has been rooted in lifting people up, honoring where we came from, and expanding what's possible. I am proud to be part of this legacy and intend to continue doing that work for the rest of my life. What? What is he apologizing for? What is he apologizing for? Why is Shabuzi apologizing? I saw this and I was like, what? Shabuzi, a Nigerian American, said, immigrants built this country literally, so this is for them. And people were mad about this because some people said it disregarded the foundational forced labor of slaves and failed to acknowledge this history during the first day of Black History Month. I mean, here he is trying to pander to make people on the left like him. And in doing so, he pissed off an entire different group of people. And then he's apologizing after the fact. He's caught up in the heat of the moment with everybody saying fuck ICE over the course of the Grammys. And ICE could do things a little bit better. The training has not been great. I think we can all tell from what we're seeing online. And he says this country was built on immigrants when he is the son of immigrants. And they still make him apologize. You can't apologize. You can't apologize to these people. They're never going to be happy. And it's so crazy that more and more these days, we want to know what these fucking celebrity artists who aren't talkers by trade, we want to know what they think. Why? I'm never going to understand it. Why are we so obsessed with the idea of placating to everyone? Why do we have to do that? And what the fuck is it there that was so bad that he said? Like he's actually, oh, it's the first day of Black History Month. You can't acknowledge immigrants. It's crazy to me, but we've we've got our priorities in the right places. That's for sure. Shout out to R.A. Tacky with the super chat.
They say no.
Wrong. That's the wrong bump. There we go. What is wrong with the Rockets? Thank you for the super chat, R.A. Tacky. Listen, Reed Shepard ain't it. He's not going to be it by the end of the year. You don't have Fred VanVleet. And no Dylan Brooks has actually hurt him. That's where you're at. That's where you're at. On top of that, it seems like Ime Udoka's message is not getting through. So that sucks. You're in a bad spot. Is it going to get better? By the end of the year? I don't know. Rafael Stone at his press conference today seemed to imply that it would. I don't know about that. Ugh. One last thing before we get out of here. And shout out to R.A. Tacky again for that super chat. And shout out to everybody watching, whether you're on Instagram at Sports Gallant, on X at Gallant Says Pod, Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports, YouTube at Paul Gallant, Twitch at Gallant Says. TikTok at Gallant Says as well. We really appreciate everybody's hanging out. Paul, why are you saying we? Why are you speaking in the first person plural? Well, because I'm cool like that. Okay. You know, a lot of talk about the death of journalism over the last couple of days. It's very melodramatic. You know, oh, the Washington Post has layoffs in the sports department. Oh, boo-hoo. I mean, sorry, I don't really sympathize. Paul, you're just bitter about not having a job. Yeah, I am. No one's saying anything about radio dying. Oh, the Washington Post dies, democracy dies, blah, blah, blah. Oh, fuck off. Like, the melodrama and hand-wringing that's coming from reporters, you would think something actually horrible happened. And you're seeing the same kind of coverage from people like Jameel Hill over Don Lemon getting arrested. Don Lemon wanted to get arrested for covering that protest in Minneapolis. He wanted to get arrested. Like, this is good for Don Lemon's brand. He gets to look like a lawbreaker, or not a person who's taking a stand. You know, if you get arrested as a journalist in the United States, that's street cred. Now, it's not real street cred because there's going to be such a backlash in the media to what happened that generally law enforcement is going to let you go. This isn't like in another country where if you get arrested, you might never be seen again if you're doing something that's not approved by the state. I know some are of the mindset that, oh, this is the first step towards that. No, this isn't the thing to be concerned about. Don Lemon getting arrested and the Washington Post having layoffs when it comes to journalism. What you should be concerned about is something that took place in Florida. Did anyone see this wild-ass story? I'm going to show this. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to be able to see it the best. A woman by the name of Rachel Pacheco had 2 detectives come to her home for a Facebook post. Did you see this Facebook post? All she said is, oh, I guess Miami Beach's mayor, the guy who consistently calls for the death of all Palestinians, tried to shut down a theater for showing a movie that hurt his feelings. He refuses to stand up for the LGBTQ community in any way. Even leaves the room when they vote on related matters and wants you to know that you're all welcome here. Clown emoji, clown emoji, clown emoji. Whether you agree with that statement or don't agree with that statement, the fact that they are sending fucking police officers to a person's home for a Facebook post, and it wasn't even a post, it was a comment. This is troubling. This is an issue. Especially if you're somebody who was big into the idea of free speech, and I care about that more than anything. That's the thing that makes our country the best. We truly can say anything. You might get fired from your job, but you're not going to get imprisoned for something. There's no death threat here. It's just somebody saying this guy is constantly calling for the death of all Palestinians. I am assuming that the man is of a specific religious group, or at the very least is pandering to those in a specific religious group. But imagine being interrogated for something you posted on Facebook. Imagine if you're in this chat right here or down here, and someone is going to come after you because of something you said sarcastically or jokingly. I hope this is a one-time thing. It's not getting much attention. People are bitching and moaning about Don Lemon. They're bitching and moaning about the Washington Post. Why aren't we talking about this? Miami Beach Mayor Stephen Miner said the situation was a police matter. He reiterated his strong support for Israel. I don't even know what he said that led to her making that post. He said people are entitled to differing views, but argued that police believed the Facebook comment contained inflammatory and false language that warranted follow-up. What the fuck are you talking about? Where's the inflammatory language? In case you didn't see it, look at this. There isn't even a cuss here. Not one. I mean, this is truly concerning. Now, she's hired an attorney, and there has been some attention raised to this matter. But I'm not hearing this talked about nationally, like Don Lemon getting arrested for probably being a part of that protest in Minneapolis. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. But I know he wants to get arrested. Fire in his shoes, and I'm trying to be the resistance or whatever the fuck that he wants to be. Like, being arrested probably helps me out. People are talking about that. Oh, no, layoffs at the Washington Post. Oh, for fuck's sake. This is concerning. They came to this lady's home over a fucking Facebook comment, and the comment was very innocuous. This is what they're doing in England. This is what they're doing in Europe. Woof. So there you go, everybody. I'm a big history guy. And we're doing this show now Monday and Thursdays at 8 p.m. until I'm bored or tired. I've been rewatching the Ken Burns Civil War documentary. It is fascinating, in case you've never seen it. I know the Ken Burns Revolutionary War documentary came out. I cruised through that in the first week. Really enjoyed it. God damn, George Washington had a lot of help from Perhaps the man upstairs, or specifically from fog. Holy shit. That guy got so much help from the weather. But watching this Civil War documentary again, I think this is my third time watching it through. It is crazy how much of a bitch George McClellan was. George McClellan was the first commander of the Army of the Potomac. He could have ended the war so many times, but despite having a numerical advantage in the first 3 years of the war, over and over and over again, he'd always sit on his hands and ask for more troops and do nothing. And then this fucker, after he is unceremoniously kicked out of his position by Abraham Lincoln, has the balls to run against Abraham Lincoln, acting as if Abraham Lincoln is the reason this war is still going on. Hey, fuckhead. And I know he's dead, so I can say this about him. I don't know. Do something during the war with the army that you're supposed to do things about? God, what a pussy. George McClellan, you're a descendant of him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. One of the worst Americans of the 19th century. George McClellan could have ended the Civil War early. He could have ended slavery early. He could have saved the lives of so many poor Southerners who got forced into the war. By the way, want another reason to hate the South and what they did in the Civil War? Oh, it was for states' rights. Well, one of those states' rights that was completely taken off the table was that the Confederacy, did you know this, was the first nation to force conscription ever in the history of the world? Ever. The Confederacy. The Confederacy! Yeehaw! And if George McClellan, I don't know, had done something earlier in this war, it wouldn't have happened. Also, one last little tidbit. Stonewall Jackson. Maybe the weirdest person in the history of our nation. Stonewall Jackson went to the Virginia Military Institute and was a teacher that was hated by his students. And he had very odd habits that developed here. He was a religious zealot. Every little thing that happened over the course of a day, an act of God. He famously believed that if he was out of balance, that he needed to raise one of his arms in the air. So he would ride around constantly on his horse with an arm in the air. And it was because he thought that his blood was out of balance and that it needed to shift to the other sides of his body. Like he was an hourglass. And there's more stuff about him along the way. And he ends up getting killed accidentally by his own guys. And he apparently was a very effective general. Crazy stories about that guy. Just an absolutely wild person. So anyway, that Ken Burns Civil War documentary is great. And that's it. That's all I got. I'm going to be filling in on Sports Radio 610 tomorrow from 4 to 6. Just me. It'll be a little Ask Gallant Anything Friday fun. I hope that you stop by. If you ever have a question for the show, you can leave an email, gallantsays@gmail.com. You can also leave a voicemail or text message at 281-836-3912. That's again, 281-836-3912. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Paul Gallant. That's what pays me the most money right now. TikTok, I'm at Gallant Says. Give me a follow. I'd appreciate a like on this video as well. I'm on X, at Gallant Says, at Gallant Says Pod. Instagram, at Sports Gallant. Facebook, at Paul Gallant Sports. And on Twitch, at Gallant Says. Give me a follow. But I'd appreciate a sub. It's available after the fact in podcast form. Apple Podcasts. And on Spotify. Subscribe, rate, and review. Every little bit of support helps. Yes, Todd, the show, you're late. Until Monday at 8 p.m. Central Time. So long. Farewell.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain.